Construction defect lawsuits are hitting hundreds of Charleston homeowners, even in brand new homes. That $400,000 home can jump from a quoted $3,200 a month to $4,500 a month or more once you add in HOA costs and flood insurance. After 20 years of helping hundreds of families buy here, I've seen buyers lose tens of thousands on avoidable mistakes. Today, I'm breaking down the 8 traps that cost new construction buyers the most in Charleston and how you can avoid them. Trap number 1, assuming that a new home means no problems. All right, here's the thing. Construction defect lawsuits in Charleston are affecting hundreds of homeowners every year. There's not a warning about bad neighborhoods. That's the reality of brand new homes right now. Some reports are showing more and more construction issues across the entire state of South Carolina, and Charleston's experiencing particular challenges. Local attorneys are filing these lawsuits against major builders. I've seen this firsthand with my own clients. We found homes with zero insulation in the attic. Zero. Like after they moved in, they had to re-insulate their entire attic. Buyers have moved in and their energy costs were insane, all because the construction was not done in a thoughtful way. We found studs that weren't placed the right distance between walls. We've discovered moisture and mold problems in brand new construction. Here's a real example. One homeowner found serious mold problems in their first summer of being in Charleston. The builder tried dehumidifiers and other fixes, but the humidity just kept coming back. They ended up having to file a lawsuit against the builder. And here's the most curious part. The builder kept building the other half of the community using the exact same plans, even while these defects were being uncovered. Things just didn't change. So this is what builders are doing. They're trying to build houses so fast and so efficient and so cheap that they sometimes cut corners and they miss things. They do it wrong. It's just the reality of production home building. If you're a first-time buyer thinking that the warranty is going to protect everything, you have to hear this. Standard home warranties often don't cover things like insulation defects. They usually don't cover moisture damage. Beside that, many warranties expire within 2 years. Some buyers are stretching their budget just to get into new construction, and finding these gaps after closing can be devastating financially. Now, South Carolina law does provide some protection beyond standard warranties. If a builder breaks the building code, they're responsible for fixing it. In South Carolina, a code violation automatically counts as negligence. Plus, the discovery rule allows you 3 years from the time you discover a problem to file a lawsuit. But you don't want to even have to be in that position in the first place. Here's a smart move for buyers. Always get a pre-drywall inspection. Before they close up the walls, you need someone to check everything. Plumbing, electrical, insulation. You need to make sure that the structural elements are installed correctly. I can show you which new construction communities in Charleston handle water management properly and which ones don't. That's the kind of insider knowledge you need before you sign anything on a new construction home. And when we get to builder quality later, I'll show you exactly which warning signs predict these problems before they happen, so stick around. Now, understanding your legal protection does matter, but it's way better to prevent the problems from the start. And this brings us to the first place buyers lose money. But before we go further, if you're looking at new construction in Charleston, I've helped hundreds of clients face these same traps in places like Nexton, Cane Bay, and Daniel Island. I know which builders deliver quality and which ones tend to cut corners. So just reach out when my info is below here if you want help on new construction. Now let's look at trap number 2. Charleston's design centers upcharge for everything. People think they're going to get in the 400s for this brand new home. But actually, nobody walks out paying in the 400s. The average Charleston buyer is going to leave that design center spending $80,000 more in design upgrades. So you walk into that model home, it looks absolutely perfect, beautiful finishes, gorgeous tile work, stunning kitchen. The sales rep smiles and says their base model is a really well-appointed home. But by the way, the sales reps don't tell you about these upgrades and they become a much bigger deal later, but we're going to get to that. But here's the truth about it. The model home reflects literally tens of thousands of cost upgrades, often up to 40% over the base model. And those upgrades are going to add up fast, usually $80,000 to $100,000 extra. Here's the kicker. Builders typically charge about a 50% markup on top of the design center prices. The actual cost to build is significantly less than what you have to pay for from their upgrade center. Look, I know builders are running a business. I don't want to assume that people don't get a markup when they run a business. But buyers end up making $80,000 decisions in a 2-hour meeting without knowing how much value it actually is going to add in the Charleston real estate market. That's why it's critical to make sure you know which upgrades are going to pay you back on appreciation and which ones are not. I'm not saying don't do any upgrades, but you need to understand which upgrades have real return on investments and which ones are just nice to have without really any real resale benefit. So things like energy efficient systems and kitchens are going to improve your ROI dramatically. Cosmetic finishes and high-end appliances often don't pay you back. Here's an insider tip. If you're thinking about doing something like adding a patio or adding a deck or adding a screen porch, it's often way less expensive if you hire an independent contractor after you move in instead of paying the builder's inflated prices. So before you walk into that design center, talk to me. I can tell you exactly which upgrades in the Charleston market will add value, which ones are going to improve your lifestyle but won't pay you back, and which ones are just kind of throwing away your money. That conversation alone could save you $50,000 or $100,000. Now, knowing which upgrades to skip will save you money up front, but there are other hidden costs that most buyers completely miss in their calculations. This leads us to trap number 3. HOA plus flood insurance plus wind and hail insurance can add surprising monthly costs. That's what a lot of buyers discover after they close and the real bills start arriving on their new construction home. You're looking at that mortgage payment thinking you could afford it, but then you discover you've also got a homeowners association fee and flood insurance and wind and hail insurance nobody even explained to you. You combine all of these, it can add up to $350 to $840 per month to your ownership costs. That's another $4,000 to $10,000 annually on top of your mortgage. Let's break it down. Homeowners association fees in Charleston can range from as low as $150 per month to $1,200 per month, depending on the amenities in the neighborhood. Look, a lot of these new construction neighborhoods have really cool amenities like super nice pools, amenity centers, fitness centers, pickleball courts. Your lifestyle can definitely be improved with HOAs, but you have to pay for it. Then you've got wind and hail insurance. If you live in a community that is south of Highway 17, typically you're going to have a wind and hail policy on top of your normal homeowner's insurance policy. This is going to add additional insurance costs you probably weren't expecting. It's less obvious than an HOA payment because it's not advertised. But here's the thing, it's common for a single property to have both an HOA fee and a wind and hail fee. And then of course you also have flood insurance risks. I recommend everyone get flood insurance, even if your neighborhood is in an X zone. But flood insurance is going to add even more costs to you. This is why when you're thinking about buying a new construction home, you need to consider all costs that are going to make up this new home. And keep in mind, when we talk later about build timelines, you're going to see how easy it is for small mistakes to turn into months of delays, which can also cost you. So stay with me. If you're looking at flood insurance, the average for flood insurance is $899 a year. But this changes a lot depending on your flood zone. For some areas, you're going to see $500 a year. While other areas like Folly Beach, your flood insurance is going to be an average of $1,500 a year. Standard rates have increased a lot. Policies in higher risk zones like B zones or A zones are going to be maybe even over $1,400 a year. And here's something critical. About 25% of all flood insurance claims come from areas with low to moderate risk. That means even if you're not in a high-risk zone, you still need to have this insurance. Now, I don't want to scare you away with these extra costs. I just want you to be understanding exactly what you're paying for. And sometimes you can negotiate off the price of the home to offset some of these other costs. And not every single home that you buy is going to need a wind and hail policy, and some of them have lower HOA fees. So we're just going to look at those costs before you buy. But there's an important story that I want to tell you about how you could save money. Just a couple months ago, we knew a builder had to hit their numbers to end the quarter. It was the end of their fiscal quarter, and we played two new construction communities off of each other. We got one to reduce the price by $50,000 for our client. Their only requirement was that we didn't put the sale in the MLS because they did not want other buyers to see that they had sold it so low to our client. That's the kind of negotiation that can happen when you know exactly what the builders need to hit their numbers. The builder's agent would have never volunteered that information to an ordinary buyer, but when you have buyer's agents who know the market and understand timing, it can save you a lot of money. So before you commit to any new construction purchase, make sure you know exactly what the HOA payments are, exactly what flood zone you're in, and if you need wind and hail insurance. Don't get estimates, get actual quotes, and make sure you understand exactly what your monthly payment is going to be for everything. And make sure that you also bring me in and I'll walk the model home with you. You don't pay me a fee. The builder pays every ounce of our commission. You can have us for free, and it'll also probably save you tens of thousands of dollars because we'll negotiate down off the price and get incentives thrown in because we know exactly what these builders will do. Now, there's our hidden costs that we've explained here, but this is going to lead me to mistake and trap number 4 when buying new construction. Trap number 4 is builder sales agents only represent the builder. Now, you know that friendly sales rep is giving you the tour, but they are legally obligated to get you to pay as much as possible. They are not legally obligated to protect you. When you walk into a model home, you think the sales rep is there trying to help you because they're friendly. But the reality is they are the builder's sales rep. They don't care about you. They have a fiduciary responsibility to the builder, not to the buyer. Their goal is to make as much money as they can for the builder. That's why they're going to minimize the flood disclosures. They won't explain the warranties. They're not going to tell you about how long the timeline is really going to be. They won't mention that your deposit is actually non-refundable. They won't explain that incentives can charge by 50% more than what they actually cost them. But let me explain to you what the buyer's agent actually does for you if you hire your own agent in new construction. First, we identify hidden costs, lot premiums, upgrade costs, HOA fees, taxes that aren't obvious. Then we provide independent builder assessment. We're not employed by the builder, so we can give an honest opinion about the reputation of that builder and the quality of their work. Third, we recommend pre-drywall inspections, and we recommend great inspectors who are going to verify that the plumbing, the electric, and the other systems are installed correctly before they put drywall over everything. We also analyze that model home and tell you what percentage of the upgrades are included. Usually 40% or more of the base price is in that model home. We're going to do a cost-benefit analysis of the lot premium and help you decide if maybe that waterfront, pond-front lot is worth it, or if the wooded lot is worth it, or if you're just getting an ordinary lot that backs up to other houses, if that's worth it. Sometimes paying for the waterfront gives you peace of mind, and sometimes it doesn't really make you much on the resale. But we'll let you know exactly what that's going to look like on your resale and your ROI. And most important, we negotiate for you. We get free upgrades, we get reduced prices, and we know what builders will accept. Look, here's the bottom line. Bringing your own agent to new construction doesn't cost you anything. In Charleston, the real estate commission is paid 100% by the builder. They actually pay me, the agent, to negotiate a lower price for them than they would have gotten if you didn't have an agent, but you now have an advocate who's making sure the home is built correctly. Now, the builders love it when you have an agent. Why? Because they sell so many more homes through me, the agent, than they do from people walking in. They want me to show up with my buyers. They are incentivized to pay me to show up with buyers. They want to sell homes. That's why they cooperate with us. In the past few years, builders have offered to pay our buyer agent fee, and it's not going to stop. We've never actually had to have a buyer pay us a fee when we've been selling new construction, and I don't see that ever happening. So a smart buyer is going to bring in an agent, and they're never going to sign anything without having an agent present. And you're going to save tens of thousands of dollars because of it. Now, getting proper representation does protect you financially, but even the best agents don't know about Charleston's building environment that creates delays and can catch buyers off guard. And this leads me to trap number 5. Build timelines are always longer than you think. Builders are going to tell you 9 months to 12 months, but in Charleston, it's usually more like 15 months to 18 months to complete a new construction project. And custom homes can stretch over 2 years. There are some reasons for the delay. First, the weather. Humidity and rain and moisture and storms, they slow everything down. If we have a hurricane threat, it shuts everything down for a week. And that often is going to push your timeline. Heavy rain stops construction. It's going to stop roofing. It's going to stop framing. It's going to stop a lot of different things. And then in the summertime, it's really hot. Heat waves are going to shorten the work days for safety. And then we have inspection backups. That's really the main reason that construction takes longer. The municipalities are backed up and they don't have time to come through and do the electrical inspections and the rough fit plumbing inspections, and that delays your home. All of this can seem really, really frustrating. But if you have someone that goes through this process, they can help you set your expectations on when you're actually going to move in. And then before you decide to put your name on the dotted line, you'll have a real timeline of when that house will be ready for you. This is going to save you a lot of headache. Why? because you'll tell your current situation, like, I might need 6 more months than what the builder is telling me. There's also supply chain delays. Windows, trusses, coastal related materials do take some time to arrive. Charleston requires higher rate of materials than inland markets, and this slows things even more. Sometimes we're also dealing with skilled labor shortage. We have the same number of plumbers, electricians, framers, and roofers, but if there's way more homes being built, then those same workers are in higher demand. So there just may not be enough workers and things will fall behind because you can't get the crew on your house. Permitting delays can also take weeks. All right, so let's talk about the final impact. With 30 to 40 new people moving to Charleston every day, many who've already sold their home, they expect to move here into their new build, and then they find out that the timeline has been pushed months out. They're stuck paying for temporary housing, for storage, for double moves that they never planned on. Meanwhile, the builders protect themselves. Most contracts give them up to a year past the promised delivery date. But if you miss a deadline by even 1 day, you can get hit with fees immediately. The contract only bends in one direction, and that's towards the builder. And remember, delays cost money, but one decision is permanent: the lot you choose. This is a choice that can't be fixed later. And even with an unlimited budget, at least 25% of buyers do get this piece wrong. So my advice here is to plan for a 60 to 90 day buffer beyond whatever timeline the builder promises. Stay flexible during hurricane season, have your agent review the contract, and push back the delay language where possible. I know that the delays are frustrating, but the real long-term problems come from differences in build quality. And that's where we're going to next. Trap number 6. Builder quality does vary by builder. Here's something most buyers don't realize. You can have the same builder and the same floor plan, and the quality can look completely different depending on who ran your project and when the home was built. One superintendent might be meticulous. The next, they might rush. And if your community switches superintendents in the middle of the project, it can be a drastic difference. Quality often shifts by phase. Early phases often get more attention. Later phases sometimes get rushed so the builder can close out the community quickly and hit their numbers. That's when the corners get cut. Then there's subcontractors. Builders rotate different crews in and out, and not all subcontractors have the same skill or experience. This turnover makes things harder to control. And Charleston adds its own challenges. We build on tight sites, marshlands, and other areas where there's serious moisture conditions. Drainage is different from lot to lot. Moisture control systems vary by builder and by phase. FEMA warns that coastal homes deal with heavy wind and rain, salty air that damages materials, hurricane winds, water leaks, and indoor moisture issues. And not every builder handles these demands well. I've worked with nearly every major builder in Charleston. Some are consistent. Others require us to send our own contractors to the pre-drywall inspections because we just don't trust their structural work. If it isn't to code, we make them rebuild it before our clients ever close. With custom builders, we don't always have years of history to evaluate, so we go straight to the source. We look at the homes they've already built. We talk with families who built with them. We ask whether they hit timelines and if they hit budgets. That's what makes a custom builder trustworthy. And you only learn that by talking to people who've walked the process with that builder. So here's my advice on this. Judge builders by the quality of their superintendent, their track record, and their systems for moisture control. Ask what coastal neighborhoods they've already completed. Look up defect claims. Call past buyers. Request pre-drywall inspections, and let your buyer's agent research the builder's reputation. It does matter. And remember this, even perfect construction won't save you if you choose the wrong lot. So we're going to move into trap number 7, the wrong lot. Many buyers skip flood insurance because they think they're not in a high-risk zone. But here's the reality. About 25% of all flood insurance claims come with low-risk areas. That should make you slow down before you choose a lot to build on. Let's talk about which lots cause the biggest problems. First, backyards that flood after storms. You have to watch out for low spots with poor drainage. Lots next to retention ponds, areas where water naturally runs after the rain, and lots with bad grading. They all create serious flooding issues. Retention ponds sound helpful, but the lots right beside them often deal with moisture, with bugs, and with rain problems during heavy rain. Next, we have lots next to the marsh. They're beautiful. I love them. But they do come with more humidity, more insects, higher flood risk, and even potential for saltwater intrusion. So you might want to think about them before you make the decision. Next, let's talk about sun exposure. There are backyards that get direct sun for most of the day. That means hotter outdoor spaces. You'll get higher cooling bills. your furniture will fade faster, and you won't be able to use the porch in the afternoons for half the year. Retirees especially feel this. Saving $10,000 on a lot premium isn't worth it if your backyard is unusable from noon to sunset. Builders charge lot premiums, sometimes $30,000 or more, based on elevation, privacy, and location. And here's what most buyers miss. A lot looks very different once the land is cleared and the grading changes. Many don't know how to read the site or the elevation charts, and that's where mistakes happen. I've watched buyers save $15,000 on a lot and then spend $8,000 extra every year on cooling costs because they didn't think about the sun exposure. It's penny wise but pound foolish every single time. So the right thing to do is to pick the lot first and then the floor plan. Ask which lots locals fight for. These usually perform best. Ask which lots sit unsold because those usually have issues. Look at drainage patterns. Visit after a heavy rain. Get the elevation certificate details and avoid lots beside retention ponds. Lot selection shapes your daily life, but there's another belief that trips people up, that new construction automatically saves money. But the numbers tell a different story. Let's look at trap number 8. New construction is not always cheaper in Charleston. A $500,000 new construction home costs you over $4,000 monthly once you add in HOA and flood insurance and wind and hail insurance. That same payment could buy you a $650,000 resale home in a better location. New construction prices in Charleston can range from the 300s to over $1 million depending on location, but the sticker prices don't tell the full story. Let me give you the total cost of ownership comparison. For a $500,000 new construction home, here's what you're actually paying for. Your mortgage might be $3,200, but after property taxes, insurance, HOA, special assessments, and flood insurance, you could be looking at $4,000 to $4,700 per month. Resale homes sometimes don't have HOA fees or the same insurance requirements, so you could end up saving money even if the house looks like it's priced a little bit higher. Now, here's what you need to know about hot resale markets. Markets like Mount Pleasant, Daniel Island, James Island, and parts of West Ashley tend to be more expensive. Better incentives for new constructions usually show up in Somerville, Goose Creek, Johns Island, and Moncks Corner. So how are you comparing resale versus new construction? The good thing about new construction is they do include incentives where your builder pays down your rate, cover closing costs, and throws in upgrades. Another benefit is cheaper insurance because the home is new. And at the same time, maintenance stays low for the first few years and you get a home that meets current flood mitigation standards. On the other hand, the resale could win with a better location closer to downtown. You could get established elevations that might have lower flood risk. You've also got mature landscaping and neighborhoods with more character. So you can negotiate prices a lot more on resale. Custom builders are a different story. Their costs can run higher than expected because they give you a range. And if material costs go up, your cost goes up. Big builders who use standard plans don't usually have that problem. They're usually locked into their pricing. And here's something that most people don't know. Sometimes you can buy a resale home that's only a couple years old where someone already spent the tens of thousands on upgrades, but then you don't have to pay for those upgrades. You can get all the upgrades for less than it costs them to build it. So here's my advice. Compare the full cost of ownership. That means look at your monthly payment, look at HOA, look at any special assessments and the flood insurance, the commute, the lifestyle, everything. Run the real numbers on both options before you decide. Sometimes new construction comes out ahead, and sometimes resale is the obvious choice, but you won't know until you compare them side by side. All right, so in conclusion, these 8 traps can cost buyers tens of thousands of dollars. The difference? Making sure you have someone who knows which communities flood, which builders cut corners, and when to negotiate $50,000 in incentives. So if you're actively looking at new construction in Charleston right now, just shoot me an email at sales@MattO'Neill Team before you sign your name on anything. I'll make sure I walk you through which specific communities make sense for your situation, which builders you can trust, and which lots you definitely want to avoid. And make sure you check out this video linked here on whether now is the right time to buy in Charleston. It might completely change your timeline. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.